Hey guys, Mary, and welcome back to Study Journey. Welcome back to the Python series. This is episode 11 of the Hangman series. If you haven't watched previous episodes, make sure to go check out those. Those are all on the playlist linked down below. And this is a continuation of the last series. So today's episode, we're going to be moving all of our code into the game and actually implementing what we have so far and then starting the Hangman with Hints game. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. And remember when we typed all of the game Hangman, we typed it on a separate document. So now I'm going to open my CS practice folder, and then I wrote everything on something I titled Hangman episodes. So if we open this, I have all of my codes that I used to create the individual definitions and then the individual helper functions that I put together for the Hangman game. However, we haven't put all of the game Hangman into the real folder yet. So I'm going to open the one we downloaded, which is hangman.py, and this says it's problem set 2, and then you can fill out the information here. And then as we can see right here, all of these definitions, we still have to delete past and then fill them in. So that is what I'm going to be doing right now. The definition of load words and also choose words is already defined for you, and those are the helper codes that they gave us. So the first code we wrote by ourselves is word guessed. So I'm going to go over to this section and see where my is word guessed is. So I can do Command F and then is word guessed. So here was my first helper function. And then I had the definition of letters guessed that I used for is words guessed. And then the how I defined is word guessed. So I'm going to copy this over here. So make sure all the spaces and indentations are the same or it is not going to work. So right here, for the hashtag, make sure it is also a tab, and also everything that is not within the comments. So if it's inside the comments, then it doesn't really matter. But if it is not, then it will matter, and it will probably say indentation error or unexpected indentation. Okay, and then the next one would be get guess word. So I go over to what I have right here, and then I just copy and paste this. So remember, we did this on a separate document because it would be easier for us to fix problems and not mess up the root code. But now that we already have everything filled out, all we have to do right now is copy it over to get what we actually need to run the code that they have provided for us. So get available letters is right here, and we're just going to copy this. And then here is our Hangman game. So this is the root of our code, and then this is where we're going to be filling in everything. So down here is the definition of Hangman. And then I'm just going to copy everything from here down over. But we don't have to do the Hangman with a secret word because it will let us run it further down the line. From here down, everything else is for the Hangman with hints. See right here it says this is the you've completed the Hangman function, and then scroll down to the bottom. And then right here, to test part 2, we're going to be testing out this function, and then we can run this code. So in the code Hangman, remember we used the helper functions like define, not alpha warning, repeated guess warning, etc. Well, now we have to copy all of this code before the Hangman game over. So I'm just going to be putting this above Hangman, and now we can actually run the Hangman game. So let's see if we have everything. We should have everything now, and I'm going to save this code, Command S, and then I'm going to go over to my terminal and then open my code. So remember, this is in CS practice, so cd CS practice, and then from CS practice, this is a Python 3 file, and the name is hangman.py. So now that we have this, we have loaded everything from this file. Now we have to actually run the game Hangman for it to work. So when we are testing this game, we have to run Hangman secret word. So I'm going to run the game Hangman and delete the 2 comments so we can actually run the code. Command S. Going to go over to the terminal and then comment out these because we have not done Hangman with hints yet. Okay, so now it loaded everything from the word, and then we can guess the letter, guess the word, etc. So I'm going to guess a few letters and see if I can guess the word. And it says you ran out of guesses. The word was beginners. So this code basically pretty much works, and we can obviously keep on trying to test it out to see if it works. But in general, we have the root of this code and we have everything ready. Now that we have everything for this code, we can move on to the next section, which is going to be Hangman with hints. So I'm going to open up our document, and problem 4, where the last part of Hangman is the game with hints. If you did the computer game Hangman before, you'll realize that it's not so easy, especially if it is a word that you don't know. So then you would have to ask the computer for a hint, such as a list of words that match what you have already currently guessed. So for example, as it states right here, if the hidden word was tat and you have already guessed T, then the solution is T underscore underscore T. So you're going to try to guess the 2 letters in between the 2 T's. And if we ask for it to give us a set of words that match what we already have guessed, it will print out a list of words that have T in the beginning and in the end with different letters that are a word in between. So we are going to be writing a variation of Hangman, and it's going to be called Hangman with hints, and this will help us find all the words from its loaded list that might match your current guess word. And then it's going to print them out. So this will happen if we're going to guess the special character, the asterisk. So the first step is that we have to have some helper functions to help us achieve this. So we're going to go to the first helper function, and it's going to be match with gaps. So it takes in 2 parameters, my word and other word. And then the function should return true if the guessed letters of my word match with the corresponding letters of the other word. And it should return false otherwise. So remember that when a letter is guessed, your code reveals all the positions, and also the underscore and the space for the letters that have not been guessed. And it is because in the beginning, when we made the gaps, it was the underscore and a space. And this will represent 2 characters. This was really convenient when we were trying to tell apart letters missing, but now that we are trying to compare the word that is being guessed to the possible secret word, we must first compare whether or not these 2 words have the same length. And the spaces are a distraction because it acts as another addition to the length. So because of this, the spaces in our word that are going to be guessed is extra characters that are added to our word, and it doesn't give us a representation of how many characters our word has. So basically, if you're trying to compare 2 words and see if they are equal, you have to first see that their lengths are equal. Because if I compare apple and apples with an S, it's not going to be the same word because there is an extra letter, no matter how similar it may be. So the first step is to compare the lengths. If the lengths are not the same, then we are not going to further compare, and we can simply return false because those 2 are definitely not going to be the same words. Now, to actually have an accurate representation of how many characters a word has, and characters meaning just letters or underscores without the extra spaces, then we have to first remove the spaces before we write match with gaps. So the first subfunction that we will define is going to be remove space. So define remove space. And then the goal of this function is to basically get rid of the spaces in our current word that we guessed. So the parameters we're going to take in is my word. And then our only parameter is my word because that is the only thing we're going to update or change. Now, basically, we're going to update the word so that if the character that runs through is not a space, then we're going to add that to our new word. So I'm going to create my word no space. First, there is nothing assigned to my word no space, and now we're going to update it as we go. So we're going to compare every letter to a space. So for I in my word, so basically for every letter in my word, if the letter or if I is not a space, so not equal to a space, then we're going to update the my word no space and add that letter into it. After we write this, we're going to return my word no space, and this is going to be the updated word without the spaces. So basically what this code is saying is we have a new my word, and in the beginning it is blank, there is nothing in it. So we're going to compare every letter in my word, and if the letter or the character is a space, then we're not going to add it here. If it is not a space, then we're going to update it into our my word no space, so that when we return my word no space, there are no spaces at all. Now that we have the updated my word, we can write the function match with gaps, and that is going to be our next episode.